All right, all right. What is going on? Welcome to the stream. Yes, this is a live stream. The video is already out. It is 11:40 a.m. Got that video out at like 7 a.m. or so, but gonna do a little live stream, maybe 20 minutes, whoever wants to hop in. Sorry if I personally look a little dark. I did not bring my little ring light with me here. But yeah, I'll break down the NBA or just chat about it. Already broke it down in the video. Chat about some pricing, chat about anything that you guys and girls have questions on. Might be playing MLB today. I have to see. Broke into it a little bit, just looking at my early things for that. Some of the sheets that I have might play it. There's a couple contests that I like. I like the couple contests that they have in the NBA on DK. Hey, what's going on, Patrick Johnson? NBA on DK. Let's actually look at the lobby. They have a. Let's see. NBA on DK has a pretty cool thing that they have going on right now. They have this is higher stakes, obviously. What's going on, Tyler? This is obviously higher stakes, right? It's a 444. But if you have the bankroll to play something like this, I love this type of contest. I played a very similar contest in golf in the PGA. It's a 100-person field. 23% gets paid, so 23 people. 10K to first, 5.5 to second. Top 10 getting at least, or top 12 getting at least a grand back, so a little bit, 2.5 extra money. So it's not, or it's 31 people out of 100 filled right now. So I like this format. If I'm going to play higher stakes, I'm somebody who likes to play the mid to higher stakes, lower GPPs. Look, me throwing $18 into this 100K to first, especially on a 2-game slate, where you pretty much have to guess who's the guy who's low owned, who will go off or build some very unique stack. Me trying to beat out 33,000 people for first place is very hard. I don't care how good you think your lineup is. I don't care how much money you left on the table. I don't care how great of a stack. You could stack the first game, it can go into double overtime. And then the next game will come up and go into triple overtime. So like it is so variant on a 2-game slate. And just in these big GPPs in general, if you ever think that you're going to put $18 in tonight and win $100,000 for 99.999% of the time, you won't. So I could pretty confidently say you won't. So when it comes down to it, yes, contests like this second one are a little better, but you're still competing with 1,234 people. You're putting in $180. They have a 50K to first, right? They've been running recently a 500-person field, 222 for 25K to first, but still 1,234 people, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're playing in that, your odds of winning are extremely low. 1% would be if there was only 100 people in, like the 444. Your odds of taking it down are 1%. And now you could say skill factor into that, it's going to be a little bit more. But when you're paying at any type of mid stakes, the skill factor into it is pretty even, if not against you in that situation. So, yeah, a 1, 2, 3, 4 is that's a lot of people to pay 180. And right now I'm entered into it. I have a spot reserved and I might actually pull out. I have to think a little bit more because I think the 444, even though obviously bigger buy-in, I don't have to beat as many people. I don't have to worry about 3% guy being owned by so many people in a 1, 2, 3, 4 that I have no shot at winning. Whereas if a 3% guy is owned in a 100-person field, only 3 people have him, and the rest of their lineup still has to hit. So it doesn't hurt me as much not having a player like that. So I like the fact that they added this 444 for some of the people who play a little bit higher up stakes. They have a $100 single entry, which they've been running out. Pull out, Sal, says Patrick Johnson. Yeah, I think I will. There's still so much time, still 7 hours. You ever try 50 entries into a 25 cent? Your chances would be pretty high if you cross, eliminate, use the right players, switch a few. You already know. So just 50 cents or 50 entries. And yeah, I've maxed out the 25 cent. You can only put, at least on Draftkings, you can only put 20 entries into the 25 cent contests. You can't put 50. So I don't know about FanDuel. I don't really play on FanDuel. But yeah, I've done that. I usually max out the mini maxes because I can still play them, or the jukeboxes, that is. I've maxed out the mini max, I think 75 entries, I believe. Or actually, no, 150 entries for 50 cents each. So $75 total. I've done that. Yeah, I mean, that's all fine, but I like to just play the mid stakes while I can afford it with my bankroll, and try and bank something, because if I'm playing for $10,000 against 100 people, that's much better than me trying to play for $100,000 against 33,000 people. It's just much better. Look, if I bank something and if it scores a ton of points, then yeah, I get a lot more money in the 100K. But every single time I enter one of these 444s, I'm building out a very concise lineup, and I'm going to enter that into a 100K tournament, right? If I enter a $444 tournament, the same lineup I will put in the 100K. I can't not put it in there. If I win the 10K and thinking that I could take down both, yeah, I can't live with that type of regret if that happens. But yeah, I think there's some pretty cool contests. But I'll take slate-specific questions. I'll talk about anything, really. What is today? First official day of the new chapter, which people are saying, of my life. Don't have classes or any obligations schoolwork-wise. Don't have any obligations, period. I am currently a graduate with no job, but that is my own personal choice, as I will be taking like the summer off, pretty much. 150 FanDuel. Yeah, no, I haven't. I just don't play FanDuel, to be honest with you. And that's mainly because it's been I play for NFL, but it's mainly because it's been the NBA season as of late. And I just never want, because if you play FanDuel all season long, you're pretty much guaranteed to put players in your lineups that will get ruled out, which pretty much means you burn your money. And I just hate that. And now you can make it up, right? You can make it up because it's more skill based on FanDuel, because you can't just put a bunch of guys in your lineup who are good and just fit them in and mash them in because they're dual eligibility for their position. FanDuel is just pick the position that you think is best. It's much easier to weigh ownership that way because there's going to be highly owned players. The idea of dropping a player is very interesting to me. For NBA, I don't play on the site. I personally do not like it. I think there's not reason to be concerned yet about FanDuel, like going under or something. But some of the things that they're doing as of late are definitely scary. Not only increased rate and terrible payout structures, very bad payout structures. If you don't finish in the top 10 in a FanDuel MLB tournament, you're not going to win money in the season. You will not. It's just that bad, the rake. They're charging, no big deal, $3 for 2 years after you don't use your FanDuel account. Any money in it, they'll take $3 away every month. Just weird that they're trying to make profits in ways like that. That's just alarming to me. What's going on, Chris? How you doing? Would you rather pay down on Curry for CP3 and spend up elsewhere? Yes, I would. I do prefer CP3 over Curry. Look, Curry's price $7,700. I guess in the video I didn't have a strong take on it, but that's because I just don't. $7,700. Look, I prefer paying up to $8,200 Kyrie. I think most people will. I think he'll be highly owned. And I prefer paying down to Chris Paul. All these guys, out of those three just mentioned, all of them are going to play elevated minutes today. They should all be right around 38 to 40 minutes, all three of them. You could say that maybe Kyrie gets 36, but if these games all stay close, as Vegas predicts, they're all going to play, I'd say, 40 minutes today. Steph, Paul, about 38 to 40. That's what all their ranges are. Steph has been very bad, and now the fact that everybody is on him for being very bad, yeah, it's clearly a contrarian move. You go away from him, but he still has to shoot lights out, something that we have not seen out of him since game one of the first series against the Clippers. He's a great contrarian GPP play, and I think a lot of people know that, and a lot of people won't go there because you could easily fit in Kyrie. You could easily go down to Chris Paul. Steph, my take on him is that I have not finalized any lineups tonight. I have not really built too much. I was doing some things earlier, just looking into LLCs. I've not built too much. I built a couple of just filler lineups. But these games are, don't expect insanely different things to happen, right? Steph's a good player. He should be able to turn it around, but KD's been balling out on this team, and so has Draymond. And in the playoffs, all throughout the playoffs, those guys have been consistent. I don't see them just slowly coming to an end and stopping. I don't see KD falling flat on his face or Draymond. It could happen, but they're taking a lot of production away. Obviously, if Steph makes his shots, he plays a little bit better. 7,700, the price coming down helps that a ton in terms of just getting to him. Good contrarian play. I think Kyrie scores a touch under 50 today, and I have Steph around 44 or 43. So that's why I like Kyrie a lot better for the price point. And I have Chris Paul scoring a half a point less than Steph. So that's just where I'm at. What do we got? Would you rather pay down on Curry for CP3 and spend up? All right. Are you manually entering that many lineups? Anthony, what do you mean manual entering? I don't max out, barely ever. 20 lineups for a quarter jukebox. I'll use a fantasy cruncher sometimes. In the quarter jukeboxes, I like to just play the same lineup 20 times. It's called running a train. I just like to do that. If my lineup hits, then I pretty much go and if it just scores decently in a quarter jukebox where a lot of players are less skilled at that price point or just that buy-in level, my $20 buy-in very easily usually, or my $5 buy-in very easily usually turns to 20. Usually get $1 per lineup. And if it doesn't hit, well, then I just lost $5. It's like playing a double up. I don't really care. There's just a higher ceiling. I've only max entered the mini twice, and I used Fantasy Cruncher, and that was just me trying to test it out. Such a disappointing night. 8 points away from the bot who took second. 2K, I ended with like 330. In your opinion, do you think FanDuel or DraftKings cheats? No, not at all. I don't. What is the most you've won, says Joseph. I've never won, like, banked anything big. I've won a $10,000 contest. I placed second in a 10,000 to first, so I won 5,000. And I placed sixth earlier this year in NBA and like the big tournament for a few grand as well. So nothing like life-changing, which I hope I do sometime. Had some very close sweats. Like I said, that time that I won 5,000 in golf a few weeks ago, lost by a half a point on the second to last putt. The last putt was Tiger winning the Masters, right? The second to last putt, if Finau doesn't par that, I win by half a point. So a 10,000 bink, a 5,000 second place, and a sixth place. I mean, and then just like other little, like 3 nights ago, I finished second in a 333, like 16 man for like 1,400. Like those are like big numbers, right? You win 900 profit in that tournament, but it's also not the biggest thing when you're buying. It's 333. So I've never won like 100K or anything major. And again, I hope I do. But you're usually going to see the 100K to first being extremely lucky or people entering a ton of lineups. Like I'm not somebody, and I did early on in NBA wrongfully. I'm not going to enter 10 lineups a night into a $10 100K to first contest where there's 40,000 people. I'll enter one, and the reason I'll enter one is because I have that lineup in a 222 or a $444 buy-in where there's only 400 people I'm competing with. My odds of beating 399 people are slim, but they are so much, like I don't know the exact number, but so much greater than beating 35,000 people. Beating 399 to 35,000 people. It's not even close. So yeah, I'll save up instead of playing 10 nights in a row at an $18 buy-in. I'll just take that 180 and I'll play it once. And if it doesn't hit, well, then I'll wait. And that's what I did until I hit some, right? To me, you're burning your money if all you're doing is playing these small or these bigger fields, smaller buy-in GPPs. You're never gonna win. Like the allure of every night saying tonight could be the night, it's not gonna happen. I mean, if you're entering 150 lineups, sure, I'll give you an edge. I think that you're gonna win at some point. But if you're entering $10 100K to first against 40K, think about all the other people doing that same exact thing. You're never gonna win. What studs are you paying up? I went with Durant and Harden. Right now, I'm liking Giannis early on. Look, the guy played 39 minutes in the last game. If him playing 39 minutes and scoring 69 fantasy points is the low end of what he will do in playing 39 minutes. And if this game stays close, the first 2 games, they blew out. The Bucks got blown out the first game. The Celtics got blown out the second game. So those final 5 minutes of the game, Giannis really didn't touch the court. He did, finally, in the game that stayed close in the last one. Giannis is going to play 38 minutes. I think I have him in for 38 today if the game stays close. Giannis is much more productive per minute. He's the most productive player per minute in the league. Anthony Davis would rival that if he was actually playing. Harden's great. Harden at home in the playoffs, obviously great. But Giannis is going to average close to 2 fantasy points per minute in the playoffs. Again, if he plays 40 minutes today, that's around 80 points. Him scoring 69 was the low end of what he could do. Yeah, so it's Giannis for me. I love Kyrie at 8,200. It's too cheap. Durant's ceiling is obviously... Durant gets to a higher median projection to start, and he gets to his ceiling much more, scoring 60 points, right? But Kyrie, you're going to save $1,000. I think you can get up elsewhere. I like Kyrie and Giannis right now, but it's tough to not have Durant, right? Durant's price at 9,200 is way too cheap. I think a lot of people will sleep on Steph Curry. People brought that up, but there's risk there, and that's why people are maybe not sleeping on him, but they're smart. They're avoiding him, and if it doesn't pan out, they weren't dumb for not playing Steph. He just finally broke out. He's going to be as low owned as he will be today. Like if he goes off tonight, you're not going to get Steph at that price again. You're not going to get him at his lower ownership again until like a showdown slate in the finals. Yeah, kind of. They create bots with random accounts to spam hella rosters. Yeah, I don't know. People, I think there's a lot of conspiracy theories about DFS. I stay away from the drama. I've won tournaments, so maybe that's why I just have a different idea about it. I don't think there's cheating. I think the fact that some people enter 150 lineups and you can only afford to enter one, you can complain about that and just saying that there's just improper leverage, but you could also not play, right? DraftKings is not saying you just got paid this week. Oh, we're taking 10% of that or whatever it is and you're going to put it into our system. No, it's everybody's decision to play. So if you think they're cheating, then why are you playing? So like if I thought DraftKings was cheating and I didn't have a way to win, or I was at a very much a disadvantage, not because of the lineups I was entering or my skill level, but because I thought they were cheating and like actually filling more lineups once the lobby. People tell me that they put more lineups in once the lobbies start. I track ownership almost every single night in the bigger tournaments. The ownership of players does not change. Like Joel Embiid was like 17% on FanDuel yesterday. That did not change in the big tournament. So, and I track that like every day. I make sure because somebody told me that like 4 or 5 months ago. This guy randomly just pops up in my comments and conspiracy theorists like just don't play on the site. I don't care. Like I don't care if what's going on, Brian? Sal, what's going on, Mac? Whew, some comments coming in everywhere. Damn. Oh, then we got a lot. All right. And McLovin and Chipotle, we must take them out, says Brian. Yeah, McLovin's great. Chipotle's great. These guys are good at what they do. And I mean, you can like hate on them, but they're good at what they do. At some point, they started out just learning DFS, right? And they did it in a time when it was not as competitive and it was not as analytical, and there was not as many touts coming in, so they were able to build their bankroll easier. Today, building your bankroll is a lot harder because there's so many touts, so many people know all the edges, and the rake is just increasing at just insane rates. Like it's almost unplayable for MLB at this point, at least. What's going on, Lit? How's Steph's defense been against Paul? I haven't watched much of that series. Yeah, Patrick, I haven't watched much either, just because the game starts so late, right? It's terrible. If you're on the East Coast, it's starting at 10:30. I was on the West Coast last summer, around the end of May, and it was great because all the playoff games would be over by 10. All of them. It was great. I'd be like leaving or almost done with work, and I'd just be watching a stream on my work laptop. But I don't know how his defense has been, to be honest, because I haven't been up. All I do is I check the next day, check box scores, I check popcorn machine to see game flows, who got in foul trouble, why the minutes were different, who subbed in for who, what the rotations looked like, all those things. So I pretty much watched the game without actually seeing things. I watch like highlights, but I don't know how the defense has been. On FanDuel, who is your big captain? KD, Giannis, or Harden? What's going on, Styles? I'm not going to be playing captain mode, and I don't play FanDuel, so like I have no idea what the pricing looks like. So like in a vacuum, it's Giannis, but I imagine he's the most expensive player there, and I don't know how that impacts the rest of your lineup. If you're not getting to anything else decent, then you can't go there. But if you're telling me just pick a captain, it's going to be Giannis. Again, obviously price matters, so if you're going KD and you can get up to somebody else, then that makes sense. But yeah. What kind of return are you looking for at night? Tommy Hawley says, what kind of return are you looking for at night? That's a good question. So, like, I mean, it depends, right? For the beginning of the NBA season and when I started playing more so when NFL ended, I was playing more cash games. And when you're playing cash games, I mean, anything over like 53, 54% over the long run is great. If you're like a top pro, you'll be winning around 57, 58% of your cash games. People think they win all their games. No, they don't. They don't. They just want to get some sort of edge to beat the rake. I haven't been playing much cash in probably a month and a half, 2 months. I've been going for more mid to higher stakes single entry GPPs to try and build bankroll that way using my cash bankroll that I got. It might be a bad strategy. Right now it is pretty much been like peaks and valleys, which again is not good, but I'm just trying to, I personally just want to do this. I'm trying it out. So, I mean, in terms of returns, if I was playing cash, I'd want back over the long term. I mean, if you touch 60%, that's great in cash over the long term. If you win 60% of your games. Return on investment, I don't know. It depends on the night. It depends how much I have in play. Depends on how well I like to slate. If we're playing GPPs, I literally go into GPPs expecting to win $0. And I think that's how everybody should do it. I think you should build a lineup that you feel confident about, not build a lineup that you put together because I say I like a player or because all the articles you say like a player, because that's not what you feel confident about. That's what people feel confident about touts, right? But I personally go in thinking I'm going to win $0. I mean, it might be just like a psychological thing, or it just might be a thing like psychological, I guess. Like, don't get your hopes up in a way. But I don't go into tournaments. I mean, you shouldn't expect. I guess I said there's a couple ways you could put this. Like, I don't go into tournaments expecting to win because, I mean, just think of the odds. No matter what tournament you're playing, if I play 100-person $444 tonight, I have a 1% chance of winning the whole thing, right? I mean, 23% chance of getting any sort of money back, cashing. 1% chance of winning. I shouldn't expect, 99% of the time I'm going to lose. I shouldn't expect to win that thing, right? I shouldn't expect to win that, so I just go in thinking that I'm going to lose. Lower my expectations, I guess. I build lineups. When I build my lineup, I build the best possible lineup that I think I could build that night. I'm not saying, oh, this is a shit lineup, I'm going to lose. I build a great lineup, but then I just factor in the odds and I just say, all right, I understand that this is how much I can lose tonight, and I'm fine doing that. And I think that's what really everybody should do. You think Draymond is good for captain? Yeah. Again, like I have no idea about these captain slates tonight, but I think Draymond is just a great play overall tonight. These messages keep getting retracted. I don't know why that is. I don't know if there's like people are just be cursing out here. Let's see. Let's take off the spam block and see if anything happens now. Unless that just means like somebody deleted it. What's going on? We got 40 people in here. What's up, everybody? Same. I had to use Durant to get Bledsoe, Irving, Looney, and Horford. Just enough. You're welcome. Yeah. Dre's a good captain. Curry bounce back, question mark. What's up, Rich Hart? I think a lot of people are waiting on the Curry bounce back. It's pretty bad, his track record, just in the playoffs / finals. But, like, I don't know. People get on a lot of people because of their track record. Kyle Lowry, people were getting on after one game. He's had a fine playoffs. He's had some really good games. Curry, first game, drops like a 40-burger or whatever it was. I'm not too worried about Curry in the playoffs. Like, I'm just not. But tonight, in terms of fantasy, I think it's tough. For $500 more, you can get to Irving. You can save money and go to Paul, who I have Irving projected for, I think, like 9 more fantasy points. Is that right? 7 more fantasy points. And I have Chris Paul pretty much a virtual even with Steph tonight. Again, those are median projections. A lot of people are going to have those same projections, either if they're mine or just another site that's similar. So if you want to win a tournament, yeah, going to Curry is going to give you a better ownership tilt over definitely Kyrie and over most likely Paul. So if you're playing cash, there's no way I touch Curry. If you're playing tournaments, he's fine. I still probably prefer a guy like Irving. If you're playing Durant, I don't see how you play Curry. It's a great contrarian build, but they negatively correlate so bad. If you're not playing a single Warrior, then yeah, getting exposure to Curry would be the lowest owned Warrior, maybe, I would say, out of the starting 5. But we'll see. His price is down, so it could accumulate some ownership. For me, it's either him or Harden. I had Harden the other day. Okay, so are you scared to not play Curry? Seems like he's going to pop at some point, says Tommy. I mean, that's what everybody's expecting, right? I have to know what ownership is. If Curry's going to be significantly lower owned than a guy like Kyrie, then I start to think to get some shares. But if I'm entering one lineup into a single entry, then I'm going to be going a little bit safer. I'm going to get Kyrie. I'll differentiate elsewhere. I think I can differentiate elsewhere pretty easily. If I'm playing one lineup into a huge GPP, then it's all ownership. It's not just a vacuum. If you're playing cash, then it's more of a vacuum, and then I just play Kyrie because he's a much better play and he's only $500 more. If you're playing one lineup in a big GPP, yeah, you need to get leverage. Going Curry over Irving is not optimal, and most of the time it will not pay off for you in this situation. But the time that it does, you're going to be in a position to have great leverage over the field. So go into it if you play Steph tonight in your one big $18 GPP lineup. Go into it knowing that you're building an optimal lineup based on your situation. You have no way of getting leverage. There's people tonight who will enter 150 lineups. Your one lineup cannot produce great leverage over those 150. It's just not possible. They have so much more leverage on you. They have ownership of every single player pretty much on the slate that has any meaningful impact. You're not going to get leverage on them. The only way you can try to get some leverage is to play a lower owned player. That doesn't mean play every single lower owned player because that's not good. You're going to have a terrible lineup. But if it means going off of 60% owned Kyrie to get to 17% owned Steph, and again, I have no idea what the projection. If you have ownership projections, let me know. If that's the case, then yeah, I think that Steph gets there much more or outscores Irving much more than that gap indicates. Are you going with Giannis on ownership over a Durant or Harden? I have no idea what's up, Morgan Smith. I have no idea what ownership looks like. I just like the fact that Giannis played 39 minutes in a close game. And last year, different coach, like different whole coaching staff, they were throwing him out there for 40 minutes a game in the playoffs. I think if those first 2 games didn't blow up, we would have seen Giannis 36 plus minutes. And if Giannis is going to play 38 minutes tonight, which is what I have him projected for, then Giannis is going to be hard-pressed to not score 65 points. 65 would be like a floor for Giannis. I have him projected for 65 today. I just updated them. I should put those up. They were like originally like 63, but I gave him an extra minute. So yeah, that's why I'm going to Giannis because yes, James Harden can score 80, but so can Giannis. Like I'm just going to Giannis. I don't care if the ownership's higher. I don't know where the ownership is. I prefer Giannis. Again, if the ownership is 70% Giannis and somehow 40% Harden, then yeah, I'll go to Harden. But the tournaments that I'll be playing tonight, I don't think that ownership will come into too much factor for me, but I understand that some people will. Is it the same to just have a balanced lineup and avoiding all the studs on FanDuel, like play Paul, Curry, Draymond instead? Is it same to just? I imagine you're saying, is it insane styles on a slate like tonight? Yes. If you do not have one of, and again, 2-game slate, so maybe it's not insane, but I'd be hard pressed to not build a lineup that has either Durant. I mean, what did you say there? Yeah, I'd be really hard pressed to not build a lineup that doesn't have one of Durant, Kyrie, at least one of Durant, Kyrie, Giannis, and Harden. One of those guys I feel pretty confidently will score 50 plus, if not all of them. Like honestly, not having one of those in your lineup, I don't think it's viable. I don't know what FanDuel's situation is, but I don't think it's viable in either slate. I think having one is fine, but you're still leaving a lot on the table in terms of opportunity cost. I was close in the quarter game last night of the 18,000. Oh, then we got a lot of questions in here. Damn. In the quarter of the 18,000 of FanDuel, I finished 84th of 86K, was only 3 points off of it, taking best ever finish in the. It's possible to win, says Brian Anderson. Yeah, it 100% is. Somebody wins every single night. I'm just saying, like, going into it. So here's the math on taking home first place if you have one lineup, right? If you have one lineup and you're taking home first place tonight, there's what, 30, I don't know how many people is there in this contest tonight. 32,000.6. The percentage chance of you winning tonight, the percentage chance of you with one lineup, if you enter two, double it, right? If you enter one lineup, the percentage of your chance of winning tonight is 0.00306%. So that is 0.003%. That's a percentage. That's 3/thousandths of a percentage. So it's possible to win, right? That number is obviously not zero. I'm just trying to say you should never make a lineup. You should never enter your money into a contest that big and say, I'm winning tonight. Like you could say you have a hunch. You're not going to win. Like here's another number. We'll say it backwards. And I'm sorry if I'm being negative. I'm just trying to be realistic. Like put your money into either cash games or smaller field tournaments. It doesn't have to be a $400 tournament. Put it into a $10 smaller field tournament that pays only $100 the first, right? It's just more optimal in the long run. Then obviously, yes, there will be somebody who banks $100,000 or second place for 40K, whatever it is in the NBA, and then they're pretty much set for however long they want to play DFS if they play it wisely. I'm just trying to tell you that you can win it and come back tomorrow and tell me you won it, but out of my 4,000 subscribers, banking for first place in a 100K tournament, it's going to happen to like maybe 5 people as long as I make these videos. A year, probably a few. That number grows, then, I mean, followers grow, then yeah, more people will win, but just in general. 99.997 is your percentage of not winning first place in a GPP tonight. If you enter one lineup, your percentage of not winning first place in the GPP tonight is 99.997. That's a big number. That's all. Celtics need a W. They know they have to shut Giannis off again. Yeah, Joel. I think they know they need a W. I think they know they needed a W last game, and he had one of the best playoff performances so far we've seen. I don't think they can stop him. Al Horford in game 1 stopped him. That's it, or as close as you can get to stopping him. Al Horford, that was also probably arguably his best game of his career, like in terms of the moment, the guy he was guarding, how well he played, 4 blocks and a steal or 2, like probably one of the best games of his career. And then in the past 2 games, it really has not affected Giannis, especially last game. So, yeah, they can try to stop Giannis, but if you're going to give me 40-minute a game or close to 40-minute a game or 39-minute a game Giannis is much different than 32-minute a game Giannis. That is, like, very realistically 20 more fantasy points. Irving and Horford or Bledsoe and Middleton, DraftKings GPP. Irving and Horford, I think I like there. It depends. If you're not playing Giannis, Bledsoe and Middleton becomes way more interesting. Celtics got to maintain Giannis like last game. Yeah, I think they know that. I think they knew that last game. I think they knew that game too. Game one, there were things that happened. Again, Horford playing absolutely out of his mind. In game two, they made adjustments, and it worked. And in game three, they made even more adjustments, and it worked. That's like saying that you're going to stop LeBron James. I mean, they're different players. They have different skill sets, but just the level of like eliteness for their team, if that's even a word. Like, obviously, Giannis is the best player on his team, LeBron being the best player on his team. Saying that you're going to, okay, tonight's tonight, we know we have to stop LeBron. Well, go out there and do it. Nobody can. You want to put a double team on him in the NBA, you're going to double team a guy, that's not going to work. That just doesn't work in the NBA. So for Giannis to just be maintained tonight, I think that take has to come with some sort of evidence, because in the last game, they could not maintain him. I don't know how they do, unless the ref stops blowing the whistle when Giannis is fouled, which he should not. If he is fouled, I don't know how they stop him. And it's not even a fact that he's just great. It's a fact that he's going to be getting so much more opportunities. So even if he plays 39 minutes and they still halt him, he's going to score you 1.5 fantasy points per minute instead of 2. Like, that's still 50 fantasy points, and that's still pretty much hitting value. So I think the floor is hitting value for Giannis. I haven't projected for 65. Also, do you believe the Celtics win the game today, says Damian. I don't know if that's like a sports betting question. I don't sports bet anymore. Sports betting is a great way to be entertained. It's also a great way to never win any money. You will not win money sports betting. I'm sorry, I'm being negative and not winning money. You'll win money in DraftKings. You got to just play the right contest. Sports betting, you can win money tonight. You're going to put it back in. Emotional betting, you're going to lose it. There's only probably about 100 people, and I've read this a couple times, in the world that are profitable sports bettors. So like all the touts that you see online saying, here are my picks. If they're taking themselves seriously, they're probably not winning money. But some will. But in terms of the Celtics winning tonight, I hope they do, just because I want to see more games. Like, I want to see, that would ensure 6 games, right? And I want to see potentially game 7. So I hope the Rockets and Celtics win, for that matter. I picked Milwaukee in 6. So, I mean, in that case, I would like to see Milwaukee win. But if I'm talking about wanting to see more basketball being played, then I hope the Celtics win. Who do I think wins? I have no idea. Like, I really don't have a take on that. If I had to guess, I mean, Vegas likes the Celtics by a point, so it's pretty much a pick 'em. I'd take Giannis again if I had to bet on it, but I'm not going to. Must win for the Celtics, of course. Sal, any suggested sites for ownership projections? What's going on, Jordan? I know Awesomo's pretty much the best at predicting ownership, like in terms of spot on and consistency. I just don't know what the prices are going to look like for you there. But that's where I would go personally. If I had just money, I don't know what the prices are. Again, I can kind of see them playing their heart out today. In terms of Boston, yeah, they should. They're down 2-1. If you get down 3-1, it's only like 12 teams have ever come back from 3-1. 2 teams did it in the same year. I think that was the same year when Golden State came back 3-1 against the Thunder when KD was there, and then obviously LeBron in the playoffs against them. That might have been the same year. They should play their hearts out. Like, I don't know, you're in the playoffs every single night. You should be playing your hearts out. Obviously, there's added pressure not wanting to go down 3-1, but that's a great narrative before the game. Like, okay, we got to win today. Like, we're pumped up. That's a great narrative before the game, and like to start the game, maybe you have a little pep. But as the game goes on, the entire time, I don't think the whole team is giving inspirational speeches like, we got to win, we're down 3-1, or we're going to go down 3-1. They know that. Like, when everybody says there's a lot of pressure, they got to come out today, maybe at the beginning of the game they come out with a little bit more spunk than the other team who feels a little bit comfortable. But I don't know. It's not like the team's getting, like, it's not like it's 3-0, right? 3-0, I could see, okay, they steal one here, the team's just not as up for it, maybe they're on the road, the team is up 3-0. It's 2-1, like, this is still a competitive series. I don't think that they need this one is ever a good, just like indicator in the playoffs at least. Regular season, sure, they need this one, the other team doesn't, sure. In the playoffs, both teams need it. It can be said either way. I was playing around with that. Sorry, am I the only one who thinks Capela isn't talked about, but he's cheap? Yeah, Capela, Josh, I liked him in the last game, and I think he's still cheap. It just depends on what you want to do with lineup construction. If you go to a guy like Capela, it's going to probably be tough to get 2 of those studs in, depending on how you go. All right, let's see what we got here. What do you think about Steph tonight? What's up, Mo? Terrible for cash, good for if you're playing cash on a 2-game slate, that's pretty risky, but you can still do it. Terrible for cash. Steph, good GPP play. I have right now, I mean, it's a median projection. I have Kyrie for 7 more fantasy points, and I have Chris Paul projected for pretty much the same fantasy point amount. So I like those guys better than Steph. But yeah, if you're going GPP, he should be the lower owned of the bunch. Right now, I'm not going to Steph. I know that he's very attractive in terms of He should be lower owned. He's cheaper. He's due for a game. Yeah, everybody's really talking bad about him. Missed the layup and the dunk, should come out and try and compete today. I get that. I get all of that. And that very well could be the case. So I'm not, my take on him is not finished. Like, I could still get him in a lineup tonight. But right now, I am much more, I much rather play Kyrie. I much rather play Chris Paul. But Chris Paul's close because, yes, I have them projected for the same amount of points. But if Chris Paul's ownership is higher, then I do like Steph. Harden or Giannis tonight? I personally like Giannis. They're both great options, but I personally like Giannis. Do you think Horford will get at least 40 DraftKings points tonight? Last game under 40 or underperformed, I think. I think I have Horford around 38 as a projection, or 36. 38, I think. Do you believe Pat Connaughton is the lock tonight? No, I do not. Now being significantly cheaper than Miro and Morris, he has been consistent at getting boards and a couple threes. Easy to hit his value. Yeah, so hitting his value doesn't really matter to me. At $3,700, if Pat Connaughton scores tonight, and maybe it'll be enough on a 2-game slate, right? If he was to hit value, and I imagine you're talking 5x, that means Pat Connaughton is going to score like 18 fantasy points tonight. So that might get you there, right? On a 3-7, right? 3, 5, 5, 7, yeah, 18.5 or something. That might get you there on a slate like this, but I don't like the idea of it. He's hitting value because usually 18 fantasy points, at least on a bigger slate, isn't doing anything for you. So that's not the greatest indicator. Like, the whole value thing is a good thing to look at, but I don't think it should be, oh, this guy, if he hits 5x, this gives me this. Like, it's not great. Like, the whole hitting value thing, it's pure points matter on a 2-game slate. So Pat Connaughton, I think it's the worst time to go back to Pat Connaughton, to be completely honest with you. So it was nice to see that Sterling Brown did not see a minute in terms of if you're trying to play Pat Connaughton. Sterling Brown saw 0 minutes in the last game, but 29 minutes went to George Hill. Part of that is because Eric Bledsoe is just not playing minutes. He's playing like 26 minutes a game in the series so far. Whether it's just he doesn't match up well, if it's Kyrie just not taking his, and Kyrie did that in the regular season. Bledsoe was pretty much shut down. And if we get a Marcus Smart back, it's even worse. But George Hill, who's been playing phenomenal in the playoffs, just absolutely incredible, really. He saw 29 minutes in the last game. I don't know if he sees 29 again. He should. The coach should put him out there that long. But I have him projected for 26 right now. Pat Connaughton, the game after Pat Connaughton goes off, sure, he stayed the same price, which is nice. But the game after he goes off, and 3,700 is cheap, so go ahead, take a flyer on him. But the game after he goes off is a game that I don't want to target him, but I get that he's $3,700. I do prefer Mirotic there. I know that Mirotic is going to see at least 28 minutes today if he continues to start, probably closer to 30, and he's coming off of a bad game. So if people want to flock to Pat Connaughton for $500 less, I gladly take Mirotic, who is the more productive player, the guy who's starting, the guy who has a bigger minutes floor, and should be lower owned potentially. So yeah. What's going on, Michael? Durantula or the Freak on FanDuel? KD is 11K, ABC is 11.8. Again, it has to... Okay, if you just want me to pick between each of them, it's Giannis. I was going to say the pricing difference matters in terms of what else you're getting, but if you're telling me that you just have to pick one, it's Giannis. Antetokounmpo, oh my God. Giannis, Harden, Irving, and Thompson. What's going on, Jared? Yeah, what do you mean by that? That's who you're playing? You're able to fit Giannis, Harden, Irving, and Thompson? Are you playing like Amon Shumpert and just dust below that? I think it could work, but it seems a little thin. Brown, Gordon, or Iggy? That's a good question. Brown, Gordon, or Iggy, they're all in that same range pretty much. You're going to get the most minutes out of Gordon. Should play 40 minimum tonight. Brown, if the game stays close and he doesn't foul out like last game, should play 36. Iggy should play 35. So, I mean, if we're talking just pure minutes, it's Gordon. Obviously, we're not talking that. Brown, Gordon, or Iggy, I am going to go with, that's a very good question. Let's see what this has. I have Eric Gordon probably too high today, to be honest. I have Eric Gordon projected for 0.06 fantasy points more than Brown. Iggy's got to be lower. Yeah, Iggy's around 25. So right now it's Gordon and Brown pretty much as a toss-up. So pick whichever. I would take, Brown, because the only reason I take Brown there is because you're probably getting some very good leverage off of Tatum in that situation. With Giannis in your lineup, does that mean you fade Middleton in one lineup? I would say yes in one lineup. Game 2 of this series, the winning lineups had Pretty much, if you wanted to win the whole thing, Giannis, Mirotic, Bledsoe, and Middleton, that obviously resulted in a blowout. That's probably the only way you get there, and that was the game where Harden just got injured, I believe, so he kind of shit the bed. Or no, that wasn't the game he got injured. No, that was game 2, right? Yeah, that was the game he got injured. And Steph also got injured, so less points there. So, yeah, if I'm playing Giannis, I probably don't have as much Middleton. If you want Giannis to score 75 points today and be the guy that you need, which if you're playing him, you should hope for that, then that likely means Middleton does not get as much. Middleton could still go for 40, and he's easily hitting value. It's just less likely to stack them both. 2 games late, good way to be differentiated, but I'd rather get a guy on another team. Best shooting guard picks other than Harden, and can you stack Middleton and Giannis? You can stack Middleton and Giannis. Yeah, we just went over it. You can stack them. It's just not as optimal. It is, but on 2 game slates, being optimal is not the way usually to win. Ever being optimal is usually not the way to win. It's just wacky things that happen. I would not stack both of them though. Giannis, Harden, Paul in one lineup. Yeah, you can go for it. It probably fits if you just play a lot of dust, but who are you playing? Like playing Iman Shumpert at 2,900. If Daniel House is out, he's the only way you play him. I think that's fine. But if $2,900 Iman Shumpert gets you 10 fantasy points, you're likely not winning anything, and it's just how it is. Unless all those guys get like 70. What do you think about Lopez tonight? I don't want any Lopez. He looks terrible. He has been very bad in this series. I don't want any. He's another guy who's cheap, right? And he should see some minutes, but I just don't want any. If I'm looking at the Bucks, it is going to be Giannis by far and away, best player on the slate, even at his price. Then Mirotic for me. Middleton is probably third, but he's very neutral. If he lands in a lineup, fine. I'm not trying to get there though. Bledsoe, I think coming off of a bad game is the time you target Bledsoe, so this is a nice time to target him. But I have no interest. Pat Connaughton, I'd rather go elsewhere. George Hill, I do have interest in George Hill because I think they want to get him more minutes. Lopez trash, bad matchup, I agree. Eric Gordon or Jalen Brown on Draftkings? Yeah, we just had that question. I have Eric Gordon projected for 30.03 points and Jalen Brown projected for 29.97. So flip your coin there. The fact that I like PJ Tucker more than Gordon leads me to believe that it'd fall on Jalen Brown more. Marcus Smart might play. The last 2 nights I stacked the teams down in the series. Yeah, Marcus Smart might play. I saw that. Stacking the teams down in the series, that's fine. I think that you just naturally will stack teams, but yeah, I think that's definitely okay. Yeah, what's your take on Marcus Smart tonight? I think if he plays $4,300, if we have evidence that he won't be limited, I think he's a good play. But if they don't say, if we don't get an update from Fantasy Lab saying Marcus Smart will not be limited tonight, then I'm not gonna play him. I'm not gonna go into it uncertain, even at 4,300. And again, even if he is a full go, we've seen all season long with Kyrie on the court, with Al Horford on the court. He's not the most productive player, right? Great on defense, so he'll get his minutes. If Marcus Smart is a full go and plays, he should see 36 minutes minimum tonight. That's just an off-the-top guess. That hurts, obviously, Jalen Brown coming off the bench. I wouldn't want nearly as much, if any. Gordon Hayward, that hurts. Marcus Smart, yeah, if they tell us no minutes restriction, 4,300, I like him, but I'm not dying to play Marcus Smart. He's not the most productive player. I'd much rather play for $1,000 more a healthy Jalen Brown and not have Marcus Smart play. Yeah, what's your take on Marcus Smart? All right, so best center option today on DraftKings, Sal. I'm trying to cash on that $18 100K tournament. I picked Harkless over Aminu and picked Embiid over Yoli yesterday and was so pissed. Give me some. Best center play? Oops. That's not what I wanted to do. Best center play. Let us filter this by centers. So we have a small list of centers, and yes. Oh, best center play is Draymond Green. Power forward center eligible. I think a very good way to get a unique lineup tonight is your only center to be Draymond. Put Draymond in your center eligible spot. Most people won't do that, or will be putting him in their forward spot, and then they'll end up with a different center. You'll be very unique. Draymond's my favorite center tonight. Look, there's only 3 centers in play, really, right? I guess you could say 4 with Brook Lopez. I don't want to play Brook Lopez. And 4,400, he's getting to that point where you could throw him out there. Terrible matchup, has not been great. But if he hits 4 threes in a game, which he's very capable of doing, that man is Splash Mountain from friggin' deep. He just puts it up. Then he's fine. But I do prefer 6,900 Draymond, even over Al Horford, even over Capela at 58. Wow, Capela's price dropped a lot. Yeah, Capela's cheap. Holy shit. Yeah, I did not see that price drop. And Capela, I have projected for 35 minutes, but that's probably a floor for him, honestly. Who is the one 8K player you were actively fading? 8K player you're actively fading. There's one 8K plus. Okay, thank you. I was gonna say Kyrie's the only 8K player I'm seeing. 8K plus. Let's factor this by salary, and we can check that out. $8K plus. Well, there's 4 guys, right? So fading 0. Like if I was entering a bunch of lineups, I wouldn't fade any of them. I'd have shares of all of them. I think you should take bold stances. So in terms of bold stances, you should want to have over the field on one of these guys. You shouldn't be going with the field on all of them, right? So you should take stances. If I had to fade one of them, it's probably Harden. That's tough. That's really tough. I'm just very high on Giannis today. I like Kyrie a lot at 8,200. And then it pretty much comes down to me, 10-2 Harden or 9-2 KD. It's probably Harden. I feel like I could rely on KD for probably at least 2 more minutes tonight, upwards of 4 and $1,000 in savings. So that's a comparison. In pure points, it is by over 10 Harden. But the guy that I get to the least based on his salary and based on the fact that I like Giannis is probably Harden. I could pair KD with Giannis. I could pair Kyrie with Giannis. So for me, I probably end up on less Harden. Not because I don't like him, but you're giving me 4 players to choose from. 2 of which are $1,000 and $2,000 cheaper than Harden. So building lineups, realistically, I will be landing on less James Harden tonight. And again, I'm not saying James Harden is not going to go out there and does not have the opportunity to put up 70 points tonight in DK. But I'm just saying, if you're asking me who I'm going to end up with less of, it's right now James Harden. I think that's it. 50 of you in here. What's going on? Hit this with a thumbs up. It's just a little live stream Q&A. It's 12:30. Been up since 4:30 in the morning. Just doing some stuff. Gonna apply to some more jobs. Would you run Rozier? You can do it, but I wouldn't. There's really no analysis I can give you there. Rozier, the first 2 games, people loved him. I kept saying you should not love Terry Rozier as much as you are loving him because of these first 2 games of this series. They were both blowouts. And somebody tried to tell me there was no blowout run for Terry Rozier. And if you look in game 2, Terry Rozier played the last 16 minutes of the game in a game where they got blown out. Terry Rozier does not play the last 16 minutes of the game for the Celtics on any competitive night. He played the whole 4th quarter. They were getting blown out by 20 plus the whole time that he was in, pretty much. So Terry Rozier plays blowout run. He played 16 of his 25 minutes, if I believe right, that game in a blowout. So yes, he will still get his 18 minutes a game. You can run him. I think he will be lower owned, significantly lower owned than guys like George Hill today, than guys like Pat Connaughton. So it's fine to go to it for sure. If you're playing Kyrie, though, it's tough for me to say play Rozier. Like, I don't want any. What's going on, Glenwood? I hit the button. Thanks, Game Time. Middleton, Horford, Capela, Tatum, or Thompson tonight. Jesus Christ. 1 out of those 5 guys. I go Horford, but I mean there's big price differences there. You are not doing for FanDuel ? What do you mean not doing for FanDuel? I have projections for FanDuel. I have ownership projections for FanDuel. These are just my DK ones. I do have ownership projections for FanDuel. They're up already. Do you like Gordon Hayward? Nah. No, not today. Look, he came off of his 1 good game in this series. That's the time that I probably don't want to go after him. Like, nothing changed, right? It's not like he saw these elevated minutes and he was starting or something like that. He just played a little bit more efficiently, got a couple more peripherals. So the game that I would play Gordon Hayward would not be the one after he plays well and more ownership will flock to him. Okay, Bet, I agree. Who is the MVP in Boston versus Milwaukee means highest player score? I'd say highest player score, so just literally who's going to score the most points in Boston versus Milwaukee, Giannis. And I can say that really confidently that I believe it's Giannis. I mean, I have Giannis projected for 63 tonight, and that was actually with me having him at 30. Okay, so 63 tonight, and that's his median projection, right? I have Kyrie, the next highest scoring player in that game, projected for 50. So yeah, Chris Paul is only $6,800. That's criminally low. I have Chris Paul projected for 0.34 less fantasy points than a guy in Steph who's $900 more. Look, I get it. Steph is a good GPP play if you think he is lower owned and you think he is due to pop. But But if I have a guy $900 less, same position, same game, right against him, his direct leverage, and Chris Paul, who's been, I guess you could say, eating Steph's lunch the way that Steph's been playing, yeah, I like Chris Paul more, and yeah, I like the guy who I have projected for 8 more fantasy points for only $500 more above him in Kyrie as well. Best value on the slate for DraftKings. How about Chris Paul? Love Chris Paul. Best value on the slate. Do you like Tucker or Iggy more? I like Tucker more. $4,500. People are going to run away from Tucker potentially. Look, Tucker's been good. Like in the playoffs, he's been good. People might not run away from him because he still scored 30 points in the last game, got like 3 offensive rebounds on one possession and then scored. So that's always great when your guy gets you like 6 fantasy points literally in 5 seconds. But I like Tucker more. He's $4,500. He's cheap. I believe Iggy is more than that. Iggy's, I think, $4,900. I think Tucker plays more minutes. The last game, Tucker, people are going to say, oh, he didn't play his normal 40 minutes, 42 minutes. He played 34 or something. Well, he got 3 fouls within 1 minute. We went through it on the video today on Popcorn Machine. He got 3 fouls in 1 minute in the second quarter. 3 fouls in 1 minute. I don't know if he got a T in there. I don't know what happened. 3 fouls in 1 minute. And then he starts the third quarter off with a foul in the first minute. So he had 4 fouls. He didn't play the rest of the third quarter. The next 11 minutes, didn't play the first 2 or 3 minutes in the fourth quarter. Didn't play the last 11 in the third. That's when Austin Rivers saw elevated minutes. So I don't want any Austin Rivers. That's an inflated fake minutes number from him. So yeah, I like Tucker for that reason. If anything, the minutes will still be up. Best value on the slate for DraftKings, I have it as Mirotic. I still have Mirotic as the best value at $4,200. If Daniel House Jr. is out, $2,900 Amon Shumpert's interesting, but I mean the ceiling is just not there on a guy like that. Mirotic has a ceiling in the 40s, right? Or has a very realistic outcome in the 40s. He should play 30 minutes if he starts. That's what I've been projected at. And he averages 1.1 fantasy points per minute on the year. And I'm not saying he's going to score 40 today. I think I have him projected for like 27, which is, again, 4,200. Very good. I think Mirotic is my favorite value on the slate. I don't want to overthink it. I don't want to say, oh, but he's been the sexy pick the past 2 days. I don't want to overthink it. I have him projected today for 1.05 fantasy points per minute. That gives him a projection of 28.7 for me, which makes him my best value on the slate, 6.83x. Other good values, just looking at this quickly, I have Gordon Hayward as a fine value. He's probably priced a little bit too high. Giannis and Harden are my next values in terms of just overall. Cheap guys, though, it's Mirotic for me. Him and Morris have been great. He is really due. Him and Morris have been great. Steph is really due. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't had a great game since game 1 of the first round. He had a couple of games where he was playing well, but he got in foul trouble in the one. I think that was game 3. But yeah. Who can I play instead of Hayward? What's the price range on Hayward? Hayward is $4,700. You can play Mirotic for $42. You can play Morris for $51. I mean, Morris for $400 more is going to start. I like that way more. You can play Hayward. I'm not saying don't play him. You can play Andre Iguodala for $4,900. This is all that same price range. PJ Tucker for $4,500. There's 4 guys right there, and I'm pretty sure you don't have all of them, and they all play that forward position. I think that's it. We've been live streaming for 50 minutes, damn it. Marcus Morris or Clint Capela on DraftKings? Well, I guess that's a question. Marcus Morris or Clint Capela? I'm going to go Clint Capela. Bigger ceiling, better projection. All right, peace out, gang. I got to go to the bathroom. I'm going to pee my pants here. Peace.